Welcome to ASKA, a survival tribe builder where we'll gather, craft, and lead our villagers in a fight to thrive in a harsh world. Together, we'll hunt, farm, and expand our village into a powerful settlement. Join me as we grow stronger, expand our village, and see just how far we can take our tribe in ASKA. So let's begin. I woke up shipwrecked on a strange island, and I think this guy is the one responsible for this shipwreck. It's a giant titan of some sort, but he left after seeing the ship got wrecked, I believe. I picked up a couple of items called Jotun blood just in my ship inside the storage boxes. Upon doing so, I got this notification that says the god decree, construct the Eye of Odin and rebuild your tribe. Not really sure how I should start, so just decided to gather all the random items that I can find in the surroundings. Here, I found a couple of reeds that gave me some thatch. I'm not really sure how to use the thatch. I also found some dwarf spruce, which gave me sticks. I was trying to discover the controls. I found out how to craft stuff. So there are a lot of tools that we can use here in order to do a bunch of other things like mining, chopping trees, and fishing. While I was collecting materials, there was this fish tree thing. It was hostile and attacked me, so I punched it to death. I did my best. I don't have a tools on hand. I only had my fist. But I did defeat it, and we are safe. But we lost a couple of HP. I explored around the forest. I found this wisdom wisp. Gave me like guides on the controls of the game. I actually have a power where I can scan the surrounding and I can discover if there's something that is harvestable. And if it's colored red, it means it's a hostile enemy. I crafted myself my very first item called the wooden hammer. This is helpful in building, repairing, and harvesting items from skeleton enemies. But right now, I actually don't have any use for it, but it's better than my fist when we have like an enemy encounter. Okay, look at this in action with our hammer. Finally, a weapon. It's way higher damage than our fist. Very useful, huh? So these guys are no match, and also they drop things called fiber, which we can use to craft a rope. If you're wondering, I'm in the beach because I'm collecting these mussels. They are a good food source right now, and it's very easy to gather. I eventually gathered enough materials, and I can make myself a pickaxe and a stone axe. So with the tools available now, I can start mining for some stones. I can also start chopping down wood, but I don't really need it right now. At the moment, I'm thinking of where I can establish my base. And it's a very hard decision because I can always just establish my base near the beach, so I have a source of food, which would be fish. Or I can establish my base in the forest. But since I'm not really familiar with the place and I'm not really sure what kind of dangers is out there, I just decided to make my base at the beach. I started chopping down some trees to gather some materials. The very first thing on my mind to craft would be a campfire, something to keep us warm in the night. So I can actually upgrade this campfire in order to have like a barbecue station and also a fire cover. So if ever there's rain, it will not go out because it's protected. In this game, there's actually this thing called a terrain level field. Wherever you sight like the stick or the place where you want to level the field, it will mark a map where you can level it using a wooden hoe. But right now I don't really have a wooden hoe, so I need to craft that. But it's actually raining this night, so I had to rush on making my fire cover because I'm cold right now. It's not that cold that I would get sick. But still, I need to build this ASAP so we can keep our fire running. Going back to the terrain level field, I need to level the field before I start my base because you wouldn't want a base that's like up and down due to the bumps of the ground. So we're leveling it so we have an easier time moving around our base. Doing this removes all the random grass that are around the surroundings so we can clean the place up. And yeah, as you can see, just like this, the grass gets removed so it doesn't clutter our view and we'll have a cleaner base. The next building thing I wanted to do was a shelter, a place where I can sleep. Because in this game, if you actually sleep, you gain a buff where you are energized and stamina recovers faster than usual. So I got working on gathering the materials in order to craft the shelter. And I swear, going back and forth towards like big logs of the tree in order to like just put the stuff that I cut back to the base, it's a pretty tiring job. So I can't wait to have some companions in this game. Before I actually finish my simple shelter, I decided to go to the forest and gather some random materials and food that I can find on the surroundings. I had enough materials now to finish my simple shelter. The next build I wanted to make was the Eye of Odin, and using the Eye of Odin, we can attract new villagers, basically companions, using Jotun blood. You remember the blue item we got on the very start? I started gathering the materials I need in order to complete the structure. I wish I could just gather a lot of those long sticks, like multiple of them, but sadly in this game you can only bring one at a time because it's pretty huge and you can only carry one at a time. But I guess you could say that is the charm of the game. After gathering all the materials, I have finished the Eye of Odin. Now, I just need to insert all or 5 Jotun blood, and then I can summon a villager. I can choose which villager I summon. It only shows like 2 traits that this villager would have, so I need to pick the correct one for what the village would need. And once activated, we just need to wait for the villager to come to this place. You can see the timer at the lower part of my map. While waiting for the villager, I decided to expand the base because we'll be building more houses for these guys. And after some time, the villager is finally here at our village. So we have a companion now. So right now, we can't really give a work. If a villager doesn't have a work, they're a builder. We'll need to make stations like a mining station, a logging station to chop wood, and a gathering station. And once we build those, our villagers will now have a designated job. So I continued expanding my village to make room for those stations that I have talked about. But before I actually do, we gotta make a source of water. So I built a rain collector. I'm not really sure why it's tilted like this, but as long as it collects water, it should be fine. It's a lot of hard work to build stuff because there's only me and my one companion. But eventually, once the number of villagers in our village increase, the amount of work that I do should decrease as well. But yeah, once we have like more workers in the village, I can focus on exploring rather than building the village from scratch up. And as you can see, our builder villager is already working so hard. For water sources, there are these rocks, a natural water collecting rock available in the game. You can upgrade those things by overlaying it with a water well. And yeah, that would be our main source of water aside from the rain collector. So that is currently the plan. I will make a path that we can access those water rocks easier. Once I'm done like flattening out the terrain, I would do that. Now that I have like a pretty open space by now because of all the leveled terrain, I can now start making those workshops or the logging site, the mining site, and the gathering hub. If you're wondering why I haven't mined a couple of those Jotun blood so I can summon more villagers, it's because currently the power of my pickaxe cannot destroy those large blue rocks. So I need to craft a better pickaxe, and in order to do so, I'll need to keep building stuff until I arrive at crafting myself a workshop. And with a workshop, I can start making a better pickaxe, and then I can start collecting the Jotun blood. So this is what I need, the workshop bit. And I need a lot of prerequisite before I can make one. So I need to build all these gathering hubs in order to make the workshop. So most of the labor will be done by myself. My builder right now is actually sleeping because it's already nighttime. Most of the time at night, it's just me working alone. I don't really need that much rest. my character doesn't feel fatigue. But sleeping does boost my stamina, so I usually do that once my buff is gone. You can see it on the lightning emblem or symbol just above my health bar. And finally, the day I've been waiting for. I can now make the workshop after building the stone mining hut. And while I was just minding my own business for the day, I got this notification that says a pack of hungry smokers is approaching. So smokers in the game is like, I think, giant rabbits. And what they are a threat for is they steal stuff from your base. Or if it's food, they eat everything. So always make sure that your base is guarded by someone or something, or else the smokers will come and steal your stuff. So yeah, that giant rabbit right there, I just chased them out. I don't really have any weapon right now except for the stone knife that I'm carrying. I can't even chase them down. They're too fast. I want to like kill them to get their meat. But yeah, I can't really. I need a bow and arrow to fight back. So I hurriedly crafted one. Well, I was lacking the rope, but I can easily make one with some fibers in my inventory. I also crafted myself wood arrows. Here they are. So in this game, you need to level like your bow skill or your strength skill. It's called range combat and melee combat. You can see the damage I did to the smoker. Only 7. Because my range combat is pretty non-existent right now. So yeah, we will do no damage at all with a bow and arrow. Unless we train ourselves. So most of the time, I just like scare them away with a bow and arrow and my presence. And just continue focusing on the job that I need to do, which is the workshop. Eventually, they got tired and they just left the village. So here's the mistake that I thought. I thought I needed a better pickaxe in order to get Jotun blood. But there are actually small versions of the stone that a tier 1 pickaxe can mine. So the small Jotun blood, if we look for more, we can actually have collected like a lot of Jotun bloods and summon more villagers. So though it's nice that I have a workshop almost done that we can craft a bigger version or a better pickaxe that we can mine the bigger version. While I was randomly collecting stuff in the forest, I got a notification that the blood moon rises. So what a blood moon is, it usually happens every 3 days, as Wiki says. But once the amount of villagers increase, I think the amount of blood moon decreases. I don't feel like it appears every 3 days. During a blood moon, enemies try to attack your village. There's like a portal on this map where they'll be coming from and then they'll invade the village. So as you can see here, while I was waiting for the threat of my village, a couple of enemies came. So these things are called wights. They're not really tough, so I had an easy time with this blood moon. Still though, the threat of an enemy trying to destroy our village, we need to protect it at all costs. So combat in this game, there is that yellow bar you see there, and once you hit them, I think it is a stagger box, but so once the yellow thingies are depleted, the enemies get stunned. Usually the blood moon lasts like the entire night, but since we defeated all the enemies for this wave, we have cleared the blood moon. I can harvest these wights. They usually give bone fragments, which we can use to craft powerful tools. And finally, I have finished the workshop. Now we can craft a large stone axe and a large pickaxe. Basically, the tier 2 version, we can now chop bigger trees and mine bigger rocks. It is now time to look for these giant blue rocks and harvest a lot of Jotun blood. So these things usually yield about 3 to 5 Jotun bloods with 1 rock. So yeah, that's very good. Now we have 5, we can summon another villager. Da-da-ding! We can choose between Hedvig and Emmeline. I'm not really sure how to choose a proper villager, but right now I just choose like someone that's good for the village. Like this one has a harvest blessing. For workers to like explore a certain place, you need to put up markers. So there's food foraging markers, wood cutting markers, and stone mining markers. There's also one for hunting and other stuff. Anyways, back to my task of collecting more Jotun blood because I really want to expand my village and have like more villagers. The workshop was a big plus because look at the amount of Jotun blood I collected today. I can summon like 2 extra villagers for the day. Let's go. Right now, I actually have enough villagers to manage one person as the woodcutter, one person as a gatherer, and one person as a stone cutter. And lastly, we have a builder. Slowly, the village is actually functioning automatically with all these workers around. Still, it's not enough that I can finally go venturing around. I mean, I can, but I'd rather focus on staying at home. Right now, my goal is the improvement of my village, and once this is done, I will continue looking for Jotun blood to summon even more. So this is the water well that I've been talking about. So with this, we will not worry about the water anymore because we can get a lot from the water well, and this thing regenerates a lot of water per day, so yeah, no problem in water right now. But I do need to make more water wells because as we expand the amount of villagers, one would not be enough. Also, there's this thing called a path maker, and what it does is if you align it well, you can basically make a good path towards the end. So the starting point towards the end, and now we have a really easy path towards the water well, because sometimes the villagers get stuck if you place it like that, but with this they can now easily access the water well. I then ventured out to the forest because night is actually the perfect time to look for Jotun blood, because you can see the glowing blue rock very easily at night. So I kind of like searching for Jotun blood at night. I'll need an upgrade on their houses soon, so it's time to work on a pretty big space so we can place the big house called a cottage. I just let the builders work on the terrain while I go and chop some wood. And finally, the day has come. We have enough space right now thanks to our lovely builders, and we can start building the cottage. I decided to leave the villagers with the work regarding the cottage while I just go on and get more Jotun blood so we can get more villagers. There's one problem I encountered though. I don't really have a lot of fibers to work with to craft a lot of rope, so that is currently the problem with my builders. They can't really continue building the cottage because they're running out of rope, and I really should start making a farm and like farm a lot of flax in order to get a lot of fibers, so the rope shortage would be gone. I also need to assign a worker at my workstation so that the worker will keep making ropes instead of me manually making ropes. And so I built myself a farm. So these farmers will focus on a couple of food that is right for the season, and also flax, especially flax. We need a lot of fibers. I'm currently crafting the ropes manually because I just can't get the automation right. My workers just doesn't craft this. I even assigned it on the workstation to craft like at least 10 pieces of rope a day, but for some reason it just doesn't get the rope, the fibers from the gathering hub. I'm not really sure what the issue is, but I'll eventually figure it out so we can automate everything and have the villagers do it instead of us. But since it's not happening anytime soon, I'll just do it manually for now. I decided to add a second woodcutter's hut because I felt like one wasn't enough. Also, the extra storage space the second hut provides is pretty good. I could have always just made a warehouse, but I thought more workers on the woodcutter's hut means no more shortage of wood, because I always have some shortage of wood from time to time because I have a lot of things that I'm trying to build. So I guess a second woodcutter's hut would be very beneficial. I also started working on a path outside the village, and each time I explore further, I decided to keep making paths. There isn't really much benefit in doing this aside from a clear pathing on where I go. There's a better version called Road Maker, which decreases the amount of stamina I think consumed when you're like running on a road instead of like just a path. So I plan it in the future to make use of a Road Maker. And finally, my villagers finish the cottage, and now we can tweak it. By tweaking, I mean adding more beds inside. So I mentioned before that you can actually fit more than 8 villagers inside one cottage, and that is the plan. Probably not the best layout to maximize it, but I think it's good enough. For the next agenda, I do plan to upgrade my workshop so I can add like add-ons on it. Add-ons are basically other parts of the workshop like a leather working area, an armor working area, the looms, and carpentry. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the future once we upgrade our workshop. And since we already have the cottage, I started disassembling a bunch of my shelters that don't have any use anymore because they have a better house now. I then expanded the leveled terrain besides the existing cottage because I plan to make another one. Because I plan to keep summoning more villagers to our village so the workforce becomes greater. I also really need to plan out of working like a defense system, like villagers that can fight monsters that invade our village in the future. I started building a cooking hut. With this, we can assign a chef that will keep cooking food for our villagers, something that makes them full better compared to just eating the raw food that I provide them using the gatherer hut. The villagers can finally have a decent meal. The next day, I can see that my farm has already finished construction, so now it's time to plot out the land so we can start farming. My workshop has upgraded as well to workshop 2. So now I can add a weaver that can craft like linens or threads. And also I will add like a leather working station so we can start making leather armor as well. I decided to add another workshop just near this one because we still have an additional add-on of metalworking and the other one would be carpentry. So yeah, we need 2 workshops for that. A total of 4 add-ons to be made. The cooking hut has finally been built and now we can assign a worker to keep cooking food every day. I plan to have 2 workers on a day shift and a night shift. You can actually manually change their work hours. Usually they just work in the day and sleep mostly at the night. But I can change that so that there's gonna be 2 workers that will manage cooking. 1 at day and 1 at night. So once we've unlocked a couple of recipes, the workers themselves can't really discover new recipes, so I have to make some myself. I'm also not an expert in this, so I just tried cooking like 1 egg. I thought it would make like 1 boiled egg or something, but the outcome was spoiled food. I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong. I need to do like 3 eggs and 1 vegetable in order to make like 1 poached egg food. I honestly had to search online recipes for food because I keep making spoiled food because I keep using the wrong ingredients. Also, for my farm, I decided to diversify on what kind of plants I have my farmers work on. It'll be berries for now since it's available this season. I also had my workshop workers make rakes once in a while so that the farmers have a tool for their garden. The next thing I built was something called a builder's hut. So what this does is you can actually organize the tasks that the builders will do, like firekeeping. You can arrange what is more of a priority, which would be building, repairing, fire making, and other stuff that builder do. As for the farm, I expanded the amount of crops that the farmers will be working on. So I have this mistake here that I only have 1 farmer to work. I should have at least 2 farmers working a night shift and a day shift. Because the plants, if not taken care of, they usually die very fast. Also, I made myself some mushroom soup. And once I've unlocked this recipe, my workers can now make it themselves. I have to unlock the recipes myself for the first time and they can work on it afterwards. And voila, we have mushroom soup, finally decent food for our villagers. As I explored around, I found this skeleton enemy. I was pretty surprised how I saw this enemy, but I'm just thankful that it wasn't really that tough. It only took like a few hits from me before it died. But the shield, I swear, is very annoying. He keeps blocking my attack. Still, he wasn't really a threat. He doesn't do that much damage to me, so we're fine. So the best strategy I had in mind is once he finished attacking, I can finally kick his butt. I eventually defeated it, and now I can harvest its bone fragments. This is the path that I have made as I explored straightforward from my base camp. Really easy way for me to venture outside while having like an easy way back home. Anyways, now that that's done and I'm kind of happy with my base right now, it's time to improve our range, combat, and melee combat proness. And for that, I plan to make an archery area and also a barracks where we can train warriors. I then crafted myself a sled. This thing will be very useful when we're exploring because we can store a lot of items inside it. And before I left for an exploration, I placed down where I want the villagers to craft a hunter's hut. With that, we can assign a hunter to hunt animals for us, so we have a meat source for our village. So the sled is great because we can store like 6 big items on it rather than bringing them one by one. I can also store a lot of medium and small items inside it. So yeah, this thing is very useful when going out in the wilds. But well, I gotta stop my exploration for today as it is a blood moon and we gotta defend our village because I haven't trained any warriors yet to defend the village. It's up to me to defend the lives of my people for now. So each time there's a new blood moon, the enemies actually increase in number and difficulty. And right now we're facing a bunch of skeletons and this tree-like looking thing is a Draugr. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but basically it's tougher than the skeleton. But yeah, we can handle this easily. I kind of felt like leveling up my range attack, but yeah, my bow and arrow is very weak right now. I really need to level it up before we can call it useful. And I hate how they target buildings. I hate it. So this honestly took a while because my combat abilities were pretty weak. I really need to train myself so I can become stronger. And after like defeating the first wave, I thought that was the end of it. So I continued my exploration. Not until I got a notification that my woodcutter's hut is being under attack. So now I have to rush home before those guys destroy a lot of my homes and maybe kill some of my villagers. And yes, as I arrived, they actually destroyed a couple of things. And repairing these buildings is gonna cost a lot. The initial price, I believe, of building the building. Not entirely sure. I really hate enemies with shield. They're very hard to deal with. As you can see, I'm dying already. I really need to level up my military might in this game or else we're gonna have trouble on the next blood moon. I finally defeated the entire wave and the blood moon has faded. But I'm very close to death actually. I need to heal up at the healing hut. I was honestly stressed by this attack because now we gotta repair. So that's a lot of work again. I really have no way of healing myself, so I immediately crafted the healing hut. I did not craft this. I thought I did, but I totally forgot. I had to head out though because I needed the materials in order to make the healing hub. My life is like in danger here. If a random skeleton or Draugr decided to attack me, I only have like very little amounts of HP left and I can die. So I really need to be very careful. I got sidetracked and forgot to make the healing hut. And started tweaking with the loom and the weaver so I can make like one part of the armor. Since I can make the flimsy cap, I made the flimsy cap. Alright, cool. Our very first armor. Okay, back to our main goal of like getting healed. Let's make the healing hut. And with this final piece, we have made the healing hut. So it's time to have a healer get assigned here so he can heal us. Honestly, I just chose a random builder and I will dismiss him from this job after he healed me to my full health. So just sleeping in this place heals my HP, but once a doctor comes in and slaps me with this leaf, I will heal much faster. So yeah, this is the healing hut. This is how you get healed in the game. There's also food, but it doesn't really heal as much as resting at the healing hut. I then made an outpost. My farmers have been asking for some compost and the only thing I can think of making compost is the outhouse where people poop and the poop can be used as fertilizer. The sound the character makes when you're doing outhouse is so weird. I then built myself a fishing hut. With this we can assign one villager to be a fisherman. And it will keep catching fish for us if ever we need extra food, if our gatherers are not gathering enough, or if our hunters doesn't catch enough. At least we have fish. I then had some materials made by my workers, so I crafted myself a flimsy shirt. Now look, we have a legit armor. We're just missing like a few more parts. The pants and a cape. I'm pretty happy with the armor I have right now. It doesn't really give that much protection, but it's good enough. I also made a tier 2 bow. So now our range damage should be stronger than before. With the archery range already built, I trained my range combat level, so I'm gonna be focusing a lot on this. So let's keep shooting this target again and again and then grab the arrows back. So it's basically an unlimited training. But the arrows do break though after a few uses. Also the bow's durability gets lower and lower as I use it. So that's the only thing we need to look out for. But our workers can keep crafting bows and arrows, so that's not a problem at all. I eventually reach range combat 8. So the more I believe the level of the range combat is, the faster the draw of the bow and arrow is. So we can aim faster and then the damage also increases. As I went exploring in the forest to get materials, a random wolf attacked me. So this thing is actually called a Wolfgar or Rolgar. Anyways, with my newly trained bow skills, I easily took it down. I stunned it and then finished it off. But I think melee would have dealt more damage to this guy. Very happy that I leveled up my bow because I can finally deal a lot of damage and I can load my bow and arrow very fast. And we have defeated the Wolfar actually. While I was just skinning the Wolfar, a blood moon suddenly rose. So now I had to rush towards my base or a lot of my structures will be destroyed by the raiders. Can't wait also to try out my new bow skills, and I haven't really leveled up my melee skills yet. So close to my base, a lot of my structures have been destroyed by the enemy. I am so pissed because when you repair stuff, it takes a lot of materials. These raids are really annoying, especially if they raid like your storages. The items inside sometimes just disappears, like you can't even loot them on the ground. Thankfully, I arrived before they do more damage, but I realized my bow and arrow doesn't really do much. And these enemies are killing me. Look at that damage. Oh my god. But I really need to stop them. I really need to start training my military forces to defend the village. Because right now, I'm not really doing good. I did my best and stopped the 3 raiders. Only one of the skeleton was left and my attacking weapon was broken, so I had to use my axe. It did a decent amount of damage, so that was pretty good. But the blood moon wasn't over yet. I need to prepare. I don't have life anymore, so I'm probably gonna die soon. The next batch of raiders then arrive and oh my god, I'm really in trouble right now because the 3 of them have shields and I swear to god, I really hate shields. I have a hard time dealing with them, so I slowly dealt with them, just walking backwards, waiting for them to strike, then it's my chance to strike. In the end, I really tried my best, but I lost. They dealt so much damage and I died. I can choose to be reborn, but I think I'll lose some skills and items. I could also respawn as a ghost, which I did, and I was able to possess one of my villagers, killing them in the process. But I think I revive with my skills and items intact, so that's what I did. I'm so sorry, Ansgar. I will remember you. Wasn't sure if I would revive if I just waited the 3 minutes, but if I wait long enough, I feel like all these monsters will destroy my village. So I had to revive really fast and deal with them. I killed the 2, but there was one more skeleton remaining where I have no idea where it is. Eventually, I found it whacking another structure. And with this, the blood moon is over. The blood moon is very stressful. I will now start working on my melee combat or my range combat capabilities. I also would plan out of training like at least patrolmen to help me combat these guys. Look at the damage they have done. A lot of my structures is gonna be a lot of work to repair all of this again. It's a pain in the butt, honestly. I'm honestly just glad we only lost 1 villager from me reviving. Aside from that, they're pretty safe. They're just happily sleeping like nothing is happening at the village. I just did everything. I got myself healed up, and after this, I really plan on building the barracks so we can start working with our melee combat. I also then unlocked new recipes for food at my cooking hut. I wanted my chefs to cook variety of food because there's actually a lot of vegetables on my gatherer's hub right now, and I want them to cook them instead of just spoiling. So every night I just decided to like train my melee abilities at base because we never know when an attacker will try raiding the base. I also crafted myself a heavy club. This thing deals more damage than the one-handed one since I don't really use a shield. Look at that damage. I also assigned 2 villagers that were pretty good with melee combat, so they can be warriors that would help me defend the base. These guys would be night shift fighters because it's only at night that the enemies raid anyways. This is where I discovered that if you actually die, there's like this little grave that you can grab your remains. I then visited my farm and I was very happy that they're actually doing their job of making a lot of fibers. So now I can make a couple of ropes with this. And since I'm not really sure what happened, why they can't just grab the fibers from the farm, I decided to make a warehouse. Maybe with a warehouse and some workers inside, they can grab the fibers from the workstations, and maybe the workers can grab the fibers there and make rope themselves. Because I really want everything to be automated. I'm just staying in base right now, training my combat ability. I'm not entirely sure what are the signs that a blood moon would come. So it's better for me to just, you know, be prepared for an upcoming raid. And after I felt like my base was pretty safe with 2 warriors training to become stronger and stronger, I decided to head out again, look for a mine. You think I would have a peaceful life by now, but actually I needed to head home again because a pack of hungry smokers is approaching. And those guys steal a lot of our stuff if left unattended, even with my warriors. It's already daytime, so they're probably asleep right now. So yeah, I had to rush home again. And with my improved archery skills, well, my gaming skills is bad, but with my improved archery skills, I did some damage to it finally. Like 14 each shot, as it ran very fast still, so I can't really catch up. But whenever it slows down or stands still, that is the time I can strike. Boom! And once you go less than 50% of their HP, I think, they will slowly walk like that, and we can easily take the kill. And since it was pretty late because of the smoker attack, I just stayed at base and trained my combat skills. And as you can see, the damage I've been doing to the dummies are actually increasing by a lot. Right now, my goal for this is to reach at least level 20, and with level 20 combat, I'm pretty sure I can hold back a blood moon. I don't know, but I feel like it's good enough. And while I thought it was safe to explore the forest once again because it's already 2 AM and not a blood moon has happened, I then got an alert that the bear is attacking the village. What? I gotta rush. There it is, the massive monster. That is the bear. I used my bow and arrow to start the fight. I dealt a pretty decent amount of damage, but it has a large health pool. And look at that lounge. It attacked like one of our warriors. It took a lot of its health. But with the 3 of us, its HP went down so fast. But we better be careful or we might die. I was actually panicking here. I don't want my warriors to die. Honestly, don't want to raise another set of warriors. I want them to survive. So I took it upon myself to tank this bear. Have its focus on me, but I also don't want to die because I don't want to possess another villager. And I'm dying on 1 HP. I really gotta run. I had to hide. Like hide inside a cottage maybe. But when I was far enough, its attention went to my warrior. So I had to use my bow and arrow. We gotta kill this very fast or else it will do havoc to my warriors. It was aiming at me again, but I'm just so glad I avoided its fatal attack. And a few more hits, the bear will surely die. And yeah, we have defeated the bear. Let's go! That was a close one. Like, that's crazy. Sadly, I did not really have a healer at this time, so I just lied in bed. At the very least, I'm getting healed by just resting here. But I got up after a bunch of my health was restored and started chopping down the bear for some meat. This meat will serve as a new recipe for our food or our cooking hut. We're gonna have meat soup now. For my next agenda, I made a coal crafting station because I'll be searching for the mine as I mentioned earlier. So we'll be needing a lot of coal for our future bloomery where we can make the metals we need to craft armor and stuff. And then went out to explore around the forest again to look for a mine. But what I discovered was a sword monument at the center and a lot of monsters surrounding the place. And upon closer inspection, the game then told me that this location was called a small cemetery. I stayed for a bit to defeat a couple of them and like harvest their bone fragments. It's useful in making like a tier 2 bow and like a better version of the arrows that I have already. And dealing with these guys now isn't really that hard anymore because I trained my melee and range combat abilities. I also saw these lumps of flesh on the ground, but if you break those, actually it would summon the boss of the area, and I don't think I'm strong enough to face that boss yet, so I just leave it as is. Another location I discovered was a wolf warden. I had to run away because I feel like my life was in danger if I stayed longer. I feel like wolves will be coming after my life if they saw me, so I gotta run. But it's a pretty nice discovery to find a small cemetery and a wolf warden. So yeah, this exploration was kind of fruitful. But what I really wanted was the mine. I still like explored around the wolfar area so I can beat up some wolf and grab their leather. And finally, I defeated the third one. All that's left now is to harvest their leather and their meat. Upon arriving home, I see that one of the cottages has been finished. So it's time to add a lot of beds again, so we can summon more villagers to sleep here. Afterwards, since it's already nighttime, I did not want to leave my village unattended, so I trained some more. I also started working on my warehouse. With this, I can assign workers here to put items inside. Like, the items would be centralized that I want to store here. Specifically, the fibers. Because, you know, sometimes you don't grab the fibers from my gathering hub and my farm. So, this would be a nice place for my workshop workers to gather the items that they need. Most of the time, I don't really help with the building anymore. I just focus myself on strengthening my combat abilities because, you know, I'm the only one that could basically protect the village if ever some very dangerous creatures come and attack us. Also because I'm preparing myself to face off with some mini-bosses in this game. So there's that too. And then resume my adventure in looking for the dang mine. So yeah, well, going forward, I keep putting a lot of path makers. Eventually my builders will come here and terrain the field so I can focus on actually looking for the mine. And of course, along the way, I grind a couple of Jotun blood and go home once my inventory is full. I also have like a nearby sled that I can store everything. But I need to be careful if there are any nearby smokers or they'll steal all the Jotun blood I've collected so far. It's been a long path already and still no sign of the mine. I'm thinking that I'm going on the wrong direction of looking for a mine, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'll just continue until I reach like the end of this straight path that I'm making. Also, it's snowing already, it's winter, so I really need to start doubling up on the amount of fibers I make so I can start having my workers make armor for the people of my village. And looky, I discovered a new location. So this place is called the Large Lake. It is a large lake, as you can see. Amazing. I'm not really sure what's here. Maybe it's just for fishing or something, or a source of water. I need to plan things out now because it's winter. I might need to craft a couple of campfires with covers all around my village so that my villagers don't suffer from the cold. I also have to have a supply of firewood, which I have a lot of because firewood right now doesn't really have any use. So I place them down all around the village. Whenever my villagers get cold, they go to a nearby fire. So if you get really cold in this game, I think you die eventually. It will take like a couple of HP from time to time. So it's important to keep yourself warm. And armor is very important as well. So I'll need to have the workers really double up on crafting those linen armor sets. Winter is probably the season I don't like the most of this game because you get cold really fast if you don't have a complete armor set. Also, I tried crafting, or I thought of crafting a torch that it might warm me up or something. But sadly, it doesn't actually warm me up, so it does nothing aside from providing a light. So this was a problem. Once you get really cold enough, you get the flu. And having the flu means your stamina regeneration, as you can see, doesn't even work anymore. It's very slow. A very slow regeneration. But thankfully, from the past seasons, I never really use a lot of my garlic. And garlic is used to remove the flu once you cook it in the cooking hot. So with 4 garlic and 4 liters of water, we'll make some garlic soup, and that garlic soup will remove the flu for us. So now I will have the chef constantly make some garlic soup for display for some of our villagers to take if ever they get sick. Look at the magic of garlic soup. Our cold is now gone. I then decided to head out in the field even though I don't really have that much cold resistance. But there is a plus that I can do in order to not be cold anymore. And that is to make a simple fire. It just needs some stick and fiber, and I can easily gather those by chopping a random tree around me that's not birch. My axe can't penetrate a birch tree right now, so I can only handle fir. Anyways, with a simple fire, it can basically heat me up until maximum amount of my cold resistance or cold bar. So I basically chill at the fire and then leave afterwards to continue my exploration. And do the same thing over again once my cold bar gets too low. I wasn't really close to a wolf harness, but I encountered a wolf. Maybe they spawn randomly around the world or something. But yeah, I encountered 2 of the wolves, but I easily took care of them because I have leveled up my range and melee so much that these guys are not a problem at all. Just 3 hits, I stun them, and with the 4th and 5th hit, it dies. I soon discover another wolfar den. So there are actually multiple of them. I thought there would only be 1. So now we have discovered 2 of them. I then made myself a bloomery. Even if I did not discover the mine yet, I was just wanting to be ready in case we find some iron ores. I won't be assigning anyone yet because we don't have any iron. I also plan to just manually do it myself rather than have a worker. Because as far as I know, when I experience making like the iron blooms or the final product of smelting some irons, sometimes the worker turns it into trash. So I'm thinking I'll just do it myself. The next day, I then decided to explore around the beach. There are a lot of those fish-looking monsters here, and I can farm a lot of fibers, which is what I currently need a lot of. I don't really worry about the cold doing this because I can always make the simple fire. But what I do worry about, if it's something attacks my village, then I got to run back very fast because I'm pretty far right now. Also, it was kind of surprising for me to find like a wolfar den or a wolfar base here. There's like wolves attacking me near the beach. That's pretty crazy. But I dealt with them very easily. I have one goal in this current exploration, and that is to look for a certain shipwreck that would be full of monsters. Because there's a boss in that shipwreck that I'm gonna defeat if I was ready enough. I keep looking at the moon because I'm thinking that if it's red, it's gonna be a blood moon or something. I just don't know how blood moons occur. My exploration was very fruitful because I actually found the white shipwreck. And if I beat up those skeleton looking things, like I previously said, it would summon the boss that I would need to defeat in this game. But I'm not doing that because I'm not really sure if I'm ready for this. I'm just here to discover the place, and I will eventually come back once my equipment and my level increases. For now, I'll just defeat the whites because, you know, bone fragments are pretty great. While I was whacking the skeleton on the ground, my weapon broke and I was left with nothing to fight with, so I just decided to go home now. Upon reaching home, it seems my workshop was upgraded to a workshop hut, and now I can add the smithy, and also I think the other one was the carpentry station. So now we can start working on this. If only I had some iron, right? Mine really is a priority right now. I then got a random event for tonight that a Wolfgar pack is trying to attack my village. But haha, no match for my bow. 2 shots and they're stunned. We'll actually make that 3 for the bigger ones. But still, it just takes like a couple of shots and it's over for them. I was expecting more, but it was actually just those 2. Well, let's go. I then decided to try and beat the boss of the wolfers then. But first, I needed to set up a fireplace so I can regenerate. And then decided to beat up the Wolfar Dense boss. I needed to warm myself up first before we initiate this fight. I totally forgot that it was snowing today. So yeah, the fire got cut off or turned off by the snow. So yeah, I'm just gonna fight with this. I think I have enough cold resistance right now to last the entire fight. But we'll see. As you can see, as I broke one of those summoning thingy, like lumps of flesh, you can already see like the head of the boss we're about to defeat. I should really have rested first before initiating this fight so I can get like the stamina buff. But anyways, I have broken all the summoning items and it's now time to fight the boss. So the boss for this one is Fenrir. You know, that big dog, and we're gonna fight that big dog right now. I was hoping to defeat this guy just by like maintaining my distance and just kill it with my range combat, my bow and arrow. But I did not expect that the Fenrir was actually pretty fast. I can't outrun this guy. I mean, I could, but the amount of stamina I have, I don't think I have enough to outrun the Fenrir. So I just did my best, honestly, just trying to avoid its attack, timing my dodge properly, in hopes that I don't die. I do have some garlic soup with me. Garlic soup basically gives you a burst of health or regeneration for a bit. And that's why I brought like a lot of them. I will just eat during combat. But as I like took it off 50% of its health below, it summoned like 4 wolves. And as you can see, this is already troublesome. I'm almost dying. Like, this is a very hard fight, especially the dang wolves that are like chasing me down. It's a very annoying fight, to be honest. But I almost killed Fenrir, but I don't think I would like to risk dying because, as you can see, I'm already dying. So I decided to run away. I was hoping they would stop chasing me. I had enough stamina to actually run, but I gotta time my last dodge well, and thankfully Fenrir decided to back off, but his puppies are still chasing me. But now that I've regenerated stamina, I can actually skedaddle out of there. I'm hoping I won't die from the bleeding. I still have like 1 garlic soup that I ate just now. Returning home, I rested at the healing hut, just waiting for the doctor to fully heal me up, but it seems his shift just, ended, so I'm left here just to rest by myself. I really need 2 workers here. Reflecting on the last battle, I really need to upgrade my abilities first, or maybe just upgrade my weapon. I don't really have the means to upgrade weapons right now because I don't have new tools or materials. I really need to locate that mine. But for now, I just focus on training myself at the archery range. And then went out to explore again, looking for the mine until eventually I found it. Let's go! An unexplored cave, aka the mines. There was a bit of a problem here though. There's actually a small cemetery just besides the mine, so it will be constantly attacked by skeletons. I hate it. There will be no patrol here as it is very far from my home. But it's fine, as long as my workers that I plan to assign here aren't that near the small cemetery, maybe the skeletons won't notice them. Or I'll probably just give them some weapons so they can fight back. We'll see. Since the mines is actually pretty far from my base, I just decided to build the hut myself. I won't be waiting for my builders, but they'll eventually find their way here to provide materials for this mine hut. And if you notice the surrounding, winter is actually ending. So now we don't need to worry about the cold anymore. I'm assuming spring will be tomorrow. And yeah, I was right. Winter is over. It's already spring. I also finished up the mine. Now we can enter and finally look for some iron. But I need a torch down here or else I won't be able to see anything. So I gotta get back up again and craft myself a torch. Before I actually explore the mines, I decided to make a path towards my base, so I have an easier time navigating from the mines to my base. I also plan on bringing my sled so I can store a lot of stuff there before actually going home. So this is how far the mine is from my base. It's like very far, honestly. As I got home, I noticed that one of my workers had better looking armor than me. He actually had a tier 3 hat, a cape. a tier 2 glove and pants, and a tier 2 shoes. So of course, nab it all. And I gave him what I had. So we just swapped gears basically. But he lost some boots though because I did not really have a boots. But hey, we have better armor now. Look at me. I have a cape. And I also have like a fur coat or something. My workers actually finished all the pathing that I wanted them to make. And as you can see, the path towards the mines become very clean. I can easily navigate myself towards the mines. Upon reaching the mine, I then crafted like at least 2 shelter. One where a worker can rest and another where I can rest so I can like have my stamina buff if needed. And then again, I heard the sound of a sword and I swear to God, I hate how I'm really near the small cemetery. I wish I could just take care of all the skeletons so that they don't spawn again. But they respawn after a set amount of time, I believe. I'm not sure if defeating the boss would stop them from respawning again. But I don't think I'm strong enough to defeat the boss, so I can't really do that yet. Before heading inside the cave, I made sure to craft myself a torch. And with a torch on hand, I'm finally prepared to start mining some iron ores. I kinda did not think about my pickaxe being a two-handed weapon and I can't really see where I'm mining. Eventually, I noticed that there was something called a cave pillar. I can deposit a torch that I have in my inventory and now we have light. Currently, I'm mining a thing called the cave wall and this usually contains some iron ore. So I'm pretty excited to pick up a bunch of iron. And there we go, some iron. Let's go. I can start smelting some new stuff. I continued mining the cave walls until my pickaxe breaks or my inventory is filled with iron ore. But I did brought my sled, so there's no worry about like what items I have right now. I can always just store it at the sled and then go home. Sadly, I couldn't continue mining because the blood moon rises again and I gotta rush home, and the trip home honestly is very long. Kinda expecting some of my structures will be broken, but then again, I also have 2 warriors there stationed at night. They might be able to fight off the attackers. I'm hoping. And as I arrive at the base, they are honestly having trouble. But still, these warriors were pretty good. They actually distracted the enemies. They did not destroy a lot of structures. And they're also dealing like a pretty decent amount of damage. So this was easier to defend than last time where we struggled so bad because we were alone and our combat capabilities wasn't that strong. As you can see, a couple of enemies were already beaten by the warriors. I'm pretty proud of my warrior team. I wish to make or train more warriors, like maybe 2 more, so we have a total of 4. That way I can probably lead my base to them. They probably would be like strong enough to defend it without me. What worries me though, if my warrior dies, that'd be very tragic because I gotta train them again from scratch. I would be devastated to do that again. Just look at this one. He almost died. Good thing he ran away. So it's my job to finish this off. I swear, every blood moon, everything just gets stronger and stronger. And I am afraid for my warriors. I need to dress them up with armor as well. So that's the plan for the future. Okay, now that we're back with iron, it's time to work the furnace. So how the furnace would work is you would insert some iron inside and then you would also insert some coal, then ignite the furnace. For now, I will try smelting 5 pieces of iron. Also, metal scraps work as iron or is equivalent to an iron. So we'll be making like 5 iron blooms with this ratio, 15 coals and then 5 pieces of the iron. So let the smithing begin. This thing actually requires delicate arms or control because I gotta put the heat up at the center of the temperature. So I gotta time how I press the bellows or else the temperature will just keep dropping. So once it enters like the middle part of the temperature, the iron will slowly form into iron blooms. Need to keep the temperature in the center and wait for all the irons to be processed. And don't go over the temperature or the irons will turn into slabs which are useless. Once the process of putting the iron in the furnace is done, I then need to hammer it down at the wooden anvil until the metal is clean. This is honestly a really tedious process, which would be really nice if I could assign to workers that I would believe in, that they won't waste like the irons I have mined. But for now, I just decided to do it manually myself. It's actually a pretty fun process, just tedious. Like after mining or hammering it down and it becomes clean, we now have the result, which are iron blooms. Then towards the smithy, I got to insert all the iron blooms here and then ignite it so it would heat up. As you can see in the bar below the iron blooms, it's slowly heating up, and once it's heated up, we can start forming it into a blade or other forms that we would like. So once again, more hammering needs to be done to remove all the impurities of the metal, and we will form the metal. It's not really that hard. You just turn it and hit it, turn it and hit it until it's all clean up. And once you're done hammering, you just place it in water and it will like cool down. And now we have the piece of equipment we need in order to craft the new tier of equipments we want. And with this, I now have a crude iron axe, capable of cutting down birch trees. And by cutting down some birch trees, we can now make the carpentry station just besides our metalworking station. Afterwards, I continued creating more iron blooms as I have other tools that I want to make. The pickaxe and something I can use at the carpentry station to make wooden beams and other stuff that requires something called an iron knife to scrape off the wood. It's actually called an iron draw knife, and with this one we can make beams or wood beams. My next agenda was to make the iron pickaxe, and this is the head part of it. And after this, I can finally make the iron pickaxe. Actually, no, because I need something called a wooden shaft, and that would need a birch longwood tree thingy, which I need to cut in half here at the carpentry table. And that's what I did. I just need to place this wooden stick at this carpenter buck, and then I can cut it with my iron axe, and we will get the shaft. And with all the materials gathered, I now have the crude iron pickaxe. And since I ran out of iron, it's time to go back to the mines. I really need to work on making the road, as well as making another type of cart. An actual cart with wheels, not a sled. And while on my way to the mines and mining a bunch of Jotun blood, I discovered this portal-looking thing. So I forgot to mention I actually had a notification that the gods wanted to challenge me. So there will be a winter invasion in 24 days. I still have a lot of days though to prepare, but this is where the enemies will be coming from, the winter invasion portal. I can actually just like trap them here, like make like walls, big walls that they can't come out of. That's actually a good plan. I should do that. Back to the cave, I then continued mining some cave walls and got some irons, but I made a discovery after breaking that wall. There are a couple of insect-like creatures down here, also a boss summoning thing, which I shouldn't really hit because I don't want to mistakenly summon the boss by mistake. So I try my best now not to hit it at all. I'm very glad that it did not break while I killed a couple of the ant monsters down here. It's pretty dark, so it's really hard to see. There are a couple of these crawler eggs. I guess those monsters are called crawlers. I wanted to know what I can get from harvesting some crawler eggs. And what I got is some kind of worm and some crawler slime. I'm not really sure how I could use it. There are also a couple of iron deposits, so right now we won't be worrying about iron. There's actually a lot on the surrounding. Very happy to have discovered this. I don't really mind if the boss is here. As long as I don't touch that, the boss won't be summoned, so we're fine. But my mining trip ended so fast because a freaking warrior again thrashed the surrounded. It actually destroyed my sled. Items inside the sled are permanently gone. I had a lot of Jotun blood collected on my way here. I hate how the mine is situated near the small cemetery. There are these skeletons that will always be a hindrance to us. And I think it will kill my workers if I station a lot of them here. So that's gonna be problematic. Anyways, I went back to the cave and continued mining some irons. After I collected enough, I'm gonna go home and then process all of this and make more new equipments I can use. So it's time again for that hard work of converting everything into iron blooms. So first, the thing I wanted to make was a new weapon. I can't just rely on this wooden club that I have. I want an even better weapon. So I thought a battle axe would be great. So that's the plan right now. And that's what I crafted. This thing packed more punch than the big wooden stick that I had. Also, it's a one-handed weapon, so I can pair it with a shield. Sadly, I'm lacking in crude leather to actually craft a shield, so I don't really plan on making one right now. For the next thing I wanted to do, I wanted to craft a couple of axes for my woodcutters so they can chop birch instead of me. I actually had a lot of iron stocked up from that single mine trip, so I don't really have any scars of iron right now. So I also made some nails so my workers can start working on my cart, my brand new sled with wheels. But since I needed a couple of stuff that is not just metals for my cart, I had to chop down a couple of birch myself and process everything at the carpentry. So big birch logs make something called a plank, a wood plank, and that is what's needed in order to craft my cart. I now have a cart. It moves really fast. I mean, compared to the sled, which was really slow, this one has wheels. Not only that, it can also store more items than the sled, so I'm very happy with the result of this. But I need to process a lot more wood though. I'm just happy that some of my workers actually chop down birches now that I've given them some iron axe. So I don't need to do it myself. I plan to process all these woods since these guys don't really have the iron drawing knife to process the wood or iron axe. Honestly, it's a lot of hard work, but it would be worth it once everything or every station in our base is upgraded. So that is currently the goal. Also, I would level up some more so I can try fighting the bosses afterwards. By doing everything myself, look at my blacksmithing skill. It's already level 30 and I'm doing so much more damage now processing the materials, even with only a wooden hammer. Not only that, my carpentry skill also is leveling up quite nicely and I'm processing stuff faster as well. I just throw down the stuff I process to the ground and have my builders pick it up and put it in the new building. So at the very least, I can increase the productivity of everyone in the village. But I really should make the iron knife for the workshop workers here so they can process it and not me. Because right now, I really want to explore, not process wood. Look at this. This is how you make some wood post or wood beam. You use the iron knife to remove the barks from the wood and then the result would be either the wood beam or the wood post depending on the size of the wood you place here. So for this one, we have the wooden post. I eventually got tired of manually doing this, so I'm assigning a worker to process all the wood for me. Yes, finally we're free and we can finally explore or beat up some monsters for their items. But right now, I focus all my efforts in leveling up my range combat again and also my melee combat. My plan is to defeat the boss Fenrir, the one we ran away from. But before I actually fight Fenrir, I decided to create like a shelter just near the Wolfarden so I can have a stamina buff before we initiate the fight with Fenrir. And so with the shelter made, I rested in preparation for the battle. And once I was ready, I then picked off a couple of the wolves so that we can fight Fenrir one by one. So these guys only took like 3 arrows and they'll be dead. Sometimes 4 if I don't charge the arrow enough. Yeah, I don't really have any more trouble. Also, I'm using a tier 4 bow now made from wooden beams. So we have a better damage output now. Now that I have taken care of the little wolves, it's finally time to fight Fenrir again. This time, I'm stronger and I have extra armor. I totally forgot to mention, but I actually crafted myself a leather armor. So yeah, that gives us a decent amount of armor. With the bow and arrow, we're actually dealing a decent amount of damage to Fenrir. Just a few more hits and he would die. I was not expecting to be that tanky. He only did like 9 damage to me. And now that he spawned a couple of his wolf gang, we have our iron axe to use. And oh my god, I did not expect my melee damage to be doing so much. Just look at this. I just whacked a couple of times, and with that, we have killed everything. Finver and his minions. He dropped something called an Earth Runestone, and we can actually make a statue where we can assign a worker to keep preying on it, and that would buff us with increase in HP. I think it increases the amount of experience we get from mining and chopping wood. So this is the artifact I'm talking about. We just need to place it in base and have someone pray to it. All I need to do now is have my builders build it somewhere in my base, and we can start preying on it. This night was actually another blood moon. As you can see, our warriors are pretty good now actually. They're dealing like a decent amount of damage to the enemies. They did not really need my help, but that was just the first wave, so we're here to help them for the second wave. I'm just happy that the village can actually stand by its own. But at the same time, I would need like 2 more warriors because I'm not completely confident with the 2 that I have right now. I want to have at least 4 of them so I can say that our village would be safe. Also, with the crude iron axe on hand, I'm actually dealing with this situation very easily now compared to before where we die really easily. And oh my god, I just saw the HP of my ally right there. He almost died. Dang, yeah, I really need more warriors in this camp. Oh, and do you notice my lovely shield? I had enough materials to make one, so now we can block enemy attacks. So again, this is what I talked earlier regarding the Earth Runestone. We can either assign a worker to keep praying for us, or we can pray ourselves. The buff is, it makes our wood chopping and mining 3-star, meaning we get more experience from mining and chopping. It also greatly increases the amount of HP that we have, so this is very useful. I will assign like 2 workers here, a daytime and a nighttime worker, so they can pray 24/7. But the problem is, this thing uses like resin, and once we run out of resin, they won't be able to pray. Anyways, my agenda right now is just to continue help with my carpenter because honestly the carpenter is not working that fast enough, so I wanted to like finish the upgrades on my buildings already, so I have to manually do it myself. And after I got bored helping my carpenter, I decided to raid the small cemetery now. I felt like I was strong enough to deal with the boss here, so let's try that out. Firstly, before any boss fight, I like to destroy all the minions that are in the surrounding so they won't disturb us when we have our one-on-one fight with the boss. Okay, now that we have destroyed the second meat flesh, or I don't know, the boss summoning item, it's now time to fight the boss. So the boss of this small cemetery is a regular necromancer. I'm actually dealing so much damage. You see the 2 axe swing? It's almost dead. The thing about this is it keeps hiding, so make sure you cover yourself up. And since it's a necromancer, of course it will keep summoning the undead. But there's one problem with this guy. He has this really strong attack close range, and that is what I've been having trouble with. I almost died. I wanted to keep fighting, but I'm just scared to lose my life and sacrifice a villager again in order to revive. I tried fighting with a ranged weapon, but it's very dangerous to keep fighting with this situation where I only have like less than 30% of my HP left. Very dangerous situation. I really should just run. And honestly, once the Chad showed itself, I just ran away with all my might, trying to defend myself if ever it tries to attack me from behind. I managed to successfully leave without dying. I'm just so happy. So arriving home, I got myself healed up, and I will do my preparations again to fight the necromancer. All I really need to do in order to win that fight is to avoid its melee magic. I decided to trade my range combat some more so I can deal more damage to the necromancer. I also did not forget to alternate to melee combat so I can also improve my melee proness. And so I came back for revenge. This time I leveled up a bit before coming back. Also, I brought some garlic soup so I can have some healing. Now that I'm aware that my weakness is its magic attack, my plan is to hit it once with a melee attack and then roll away. Maybe that way I can dodge its magic. So I executed the plan. And I was correct with my plan. So now I have a really fast way of killing this guy aside from using my bow and arrow. But well, sometimes it does hit me, so yeah, that's trouble. It worked for the first time, so I will just keep repeating. But dang it, the Necromancer is very annoying. Keep summoning the undead, and the undeads have shield, and the shields are very annoying. Repeating the same working strategy, I eventually defeated the Necromancer. And now I can harvest it. I was expecting for another runestone or elemental artifact like the earth artifact. But this guy did not drop any. I was so disappointed. So what happened was the boss that drops the artifact is in a large cemetery. And what I have here is a small cemetery. But I did, however, get like artifact weapons that I need to research in order to make at a tinkerer's table. That's a pretty good yield, but actually they drop from regular mobs that you harvest. And I just got lucky. And since I still had like some HP left, I decided to continue my exploration until eventually I found a Drogar field. You know, those giant wood creatures? Yeah, this is their field and the boss should be here. I wanted to try it out. Maybe the boss is easier here or something. So I will just try and fight it a bit and run away if ever things go south. So I destroyed the 2 summoning thingies and I summoned the boss. And the boss is called Jarl Baneman. And yeah, as you can see, it already looks like a really tough opponent. But we have our shield. I was kinda very hopeful actually in this situation. I thought that maybe I can defeat this guy. But then he starts spinning around with his one-handed sword, starts stabbing me. And for some reason, I guess I have bad timing on my attacks that I just couldn't block its attack. I did my best though. I thought I could do it by like just doing side steps, but he does stagger me like that. So I did the best that I could to run away. I probably need a new armor set or something to survive this guy. So for now, I just decided to run away. I made sure to block though, but he actually broke my shield. Like what the heck? This boss was crazy, so I got to run. I did my best in running and I actually survived. I managed to run away. I'm so happy that I did not need to sacrifice a villager. On my way home, time to heal up. So this is actually the end of part 1. I'll be continuing this series until we reach day 100 or until we beat the game. So once again, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this and don't want to miss part 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a quick like. It really helps out. See you in the next one. Bye now.